Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's the Star Wars Nerd here, and today we will be talking about Dark Troopers. I'll be getting into some spoilers here, so if you guys have not seen the last episode of The Mandalorian, go watch that real quick and then come back and see this video. So now that's out of the way, let's talk about some Dark Troopers. So at the end of the last episode of The Mandalorian, we see row after row of these massive black shells of armor. We can tell right away they're not Death Troopers, these are Dark Troopers. Dark Troopers were first introduced in the 1995 first-person shooter game called Dark Forces. In this game, we follow the legendary mercenary turned Jedi Kyle Katarn. In the game, the Dark Trooper project was a multi-phase plan by Imperial General Rom Mock. Kyle's mission in Dark Forces was essentially to put a stop to the project before it began, after the rebel bases were decimated by Mock's initial testing of the early Dark Trooper phases. Now that I've gone over how the game goes, let's talk about what are Dark Troopers. So Imperial General Rom Mock, as I mentioned before, had plans for the ultimate stormtrooper, which rose out of the early tests during the rise of the Empire to combat the accelerated aging of clone troopers, which made them deplete their tactical abilities. By grafting cybernetic parts onto clone candidates to counteract their physical degradation, the Phase Zero Dark Trooper plan was mothballed as the Empire began recruiting human troopers to offset declining clone numbers. So when Mock returned to his idea again once the Phase Zero happened, he ditched the cybernetics entirely because his Dark Troopers were basically just battle droids, and we all know how that goes from the prequels. Ultimately, the Dark Trooper project produced 3 phases of trooper designs. Phase 1 was the most droid-like, with it being a skeletal humanoid made out of frick. I'm not going to get too far into this, but basically frick was a metallic compound that was nearly indestructible. A couple examples of this being used before was the dual lightsabers that were made by Darth Sidious, and also the electrostabs that were given to Magna Guards by General Grievous. So anyways, the Phase 1 Dark Troopers also wielded an arm-mounted vibroblade and a blast shield. Moving on to Phase 2, this was when Mock began rolling out the Dark Trooper across his ground infantry deployments. They were still a droid, but it was now bulked up with large Stormtrooper-esque armor, which is also made out of frick like Phase 1. The armor also had a jump pack, and the troopers were given an assault cannon that was capable of firing plasma bolts and missiles, as well as an arc caster that projected short-range bursts of electricity. Phase 3 is where it gets really interesting, especially now that we're comparing it to The Mandalorian. Phase 3 is essentially the same design that we saw at the end of the latest episode of The Mandalorian, with the black armor compared to the white of Phase 2, and it being slightly larger because the Phase 3 Dark Trooper could operate as a droid or be operated as an exosuit by a combatant. In the Dark Forces game, only a handful of these Phase 3 suits actually existed, including the one that was worn by Mock in his final fight with Kyle. So because we've only seen a glimpse of these Dark Troopers in the latest episode of The Mandalorian, we're not quite sure what they could be, but we have actually seen the Dark Trooper before in Disney's era of Star Wars. In the now deleted mobile game Star Wars Commander, we actually see that Dark Troopers were included in several missions. This game silently moved the Dark Troopers from the expanding universe to Disney's canon. Moving on from Disney, we see the Dark Troopers in a LucasArts game called Star Wars Rebellion that was released 3 years after Dark Forces, where it describes Dark Troopers as much more than just the next generation of Stormtrooper, but actually Force wielders wearing the Dark Trooper armor. This is the only time we see Dark Troopers not as droids, so some consider this a skeptical source. Even though some consider this a skeptical source, it's not too far-fetched considering that Dr. Pershing is experimenting on transfusing Force sensitivity into test subjects. Although it seems far more likely that these experiments are laying the groundwork for what we saw with Supreme Leader Snoke and Emperor Palpatine's return in the sequel trilogy, you just never know what they're going to do. Even though both these paths can be likely, I think I'm probably leaning more towards the troopers being droids, because it would make more sense with all the paths leading toward them needing Force-sensitive blood for Snoke and not for the troopers. Either way, I'm excited to see what they decide to do with these troopers and how they come into play further down the line, especially at the end of the season. I don't think we'll see these troopers next episode, or even the one after that. I really think these will come into play during the last couple episodes of the season. So anyways, that's all the information you need to know about the Dark Troopers for the upcoming episodes. If you guys have any further questions about the Dark Troopers or the next episodes of The Mandalorian, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them. If you guys liked the video, then please hit that thumbs up button. And if you like content like this and want to see more, go subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for watching and hope you have a great day.